Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all know my slogan. I don't know it all, but I know what I've been through. Now, before we get into this video, please make sure you head on down to Instagram and follow us on our official Instagram page at Hookah Anonymous _. We're able to be a little more explicit, a little more uncensored, and share content freely without running the risk of having our channel terminated. So, once again, make sure you head on down to Instagram and follow us on our official Instagram page at Hookah Anonymous _. We're almost at 100,000 subscribers, so if you like this video, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. Now let's get into what you guys came here to see. Now, first things first, let me start off by saying I've never seen so many people, especially quote-unquote street guys, so happy that another individual is going to jail. It's crazy. And not only that, but you have to watch the energy you put out there in the universe, because the same way you antagonize someone or mocking someone or celebrating them going to jail, you could be in that same very position. Never wish jail or death on anybody, because it can come back to you just as quick. At least that's what I was taught. But anyway, today we learned that 051 Kiddo, after serving 9 years in prison, have been arrested yet again and hit with a few charges. Now, I don't know if it's looking too good for him, because if I'm not mistaken, he's still on parole, and violating parole with another charge can be very, very serious, especially the charges that he received. Not only do you have to deal with the new case, but you'll also have to deal with parole and deal with the time you was given from your previous case. Now, when they violate you, they have the option to keep the original time from your sentence or add more as a penalty on top of your current time as well. Now, speaking of the energy you put out there, like I mentioned earlier, I think that also played a part in everything, because as we know, Kiddo came home as if nothing changed, right? Most fans and people on social media said that 051 Kiddo came home acting like it was still 2012, because he came home making songs dissing his ops and also getting into it with them on social media. This was at the time where the whole push and peace thing was kind of like at its height, but Kiddo wasn't trying to hear it. He was still dissing his ops, most notably Tay Savage in particular, when Tay would make fun of Kiddo's girlfriend, calling her a linebacker when Kiddo put her in his video, and ever since then, Kiddo made it his business to consistently troll Tay Savage. But once again, the energy you put out there is the same energy that you will end up attracting, and I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. From the songs dissing ops, flashing weapons in his videos and pictures, these are the things that will put you on the police radar and ultimately lead up to what we're seeing now. Not to mention, of course, rumors will start flying about 051 Kiddo allegedly having something to do with the recent passing of THF TP, because people were already pointing fingers at 051 due to the immediate trolling after his passing. But then seeing 051 Kiddo get locked up a day after really has people scratching their heads. And that's not me putting this man in anything, that's pretty much these guys drawing that type of attention to themselves when they mock the dead after they lose their life. Trolling someone after they pass, or even alluding to you having involvement in it, is never a good look, especially when people already know that you're into it with them. Once again, it's just raising awareness to the police and putting you on their radar. Most people are calling Kiddo crazy for behaving the way he is, knowing that he just did all that time and was just released and on parole. And to think about it, after doing all that time, only to come home and catch another case in less than a year, it's pretty crazy. Now, when it comes to these new charges, 051 Kiddo has been hit with 3 that consist of armed habitual criminal, possession of a stolen firearm, and possession of a firearm by a gang member. He also had a warrant. Now, before I continue, 2 things. The law is crazy, because to get hit with possession of a firearm and a possession of a firearm by a gang member is insane. It's pretty much the same charge. But I guess being that you're a known gang member and possessing a weapon, they feel it's a little more dangerous because of your past or your affiliation with a gang, whatever. Now, the second thing is that armed habitual criminal charge. I don't know about y'all, but I've noticed that people are starting to get hit with that a lot in Chicago, and that charge is being used to penalize people more and giving them worse time. In the past, I explained that according to the definition of an armed habitual criminal, the essence of the charge is the unlawful possession of a firearm by someone who has a pretty serious and extensive criminal history. A person commits the offense of being an armed habitual criminal if he or she receives, sells, possesses, or transfers any firearm after having been convicted a total of 2 or more times of any combination of the following offenses. 1. A forcible felony as defined, and 2. Unlawful use of a weapon by a felon aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, aggravated discharge of a firearm, vehicular hijacking, aggravated vehicular hijacking, aggravated battery of a child, intimidation, aggravated intimidation, gun running, home invasion, or aggravated battery with the firearm. Now, when it comes to the conviction aspect of the law, conviction for the armed habitual criminal offense falls under a Class X felony, which carries a very high sentence. The mandatory sentence can reach up to 30 years in prison. So it's pretty broad, and in a nutshell, if you was ever charged or convicted of doing anything with a firearm, if you catch another case involving a firearm, they're trying to put you away for good. As we know, 051 Kiddo had a trouble in his past concerning the firearm, whereas he was caught for armed robbery on top of other charges when he was just 16 years old. The armed robbery he was caught for when he was 16 involved a home invasion, and if you look into the charges I stated that will consider you a habitual criminal, both of those fall under those guidelines. Sheesh. So this is where the habitual criminal charge come from, which isn't looking too good for him because they're not playing when it comes to that charge in Chicago. Now, the story goes that 051 Kiddo had a warrant out for his arrest for unknown reasons, but also a part of a parole compliance check. This occurs when individuals who are on parole gets a visit from their parole officers to make sure they're following their parole guidelines and stipulations, whatever. Unfortunately for 051 Kiddo, when the check was done at his residence, weapons were found in the Kankakee home. A message from the Kankakee County Sheriff's Office would read, quote, "A third location in Bourbonnais was checked in Lavelle Adams. A 28-year-old male was arrested for 3 counts of felony in possession of a firearm by a gang member, aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, and 1 count of possession of a stolen firearm. He was taken to the Jerome Combs Detention Center after 3 loaded handguns were located inside the residence, 1 of them stolen." Now, we don't know why a parole check was performed on Kiddo, but he wasn't the only one that was caught in the parole check. They say 2 other residents were checked as well, but they found weapons at their houses too. Now, I don't know if it was like a nationwide parole thing where they just wanted to crack down on certain individuals that they felt were violating, who knows. But usually when parole perform checks on you, it's because you gave them a reason to, more than likely. Now, don't get me wrong, you have some parole officers that love to hassle their inmates and are a little more strict than others when it comes to how they do their job. But oftenly, if you're doing what you're supposed to do and staying out the way on parole don't really bother you because you're not giving them a reason to. Now, my guess on why they performed the check on Kiddo is not only the music and things he put out there that still screams violence and breaking the law, but aside from guns being in his videos, one of his latest pictures on Instagram was of him holding a big firearm. Couple, actually. So whether it's real or not, police don't care, and that's enough for you to now be on their radar, and you give them a reason to come see what's going on. And to be honest with you, the way Kiddo was moving, I actually forgot he was on parole. I automatically assumed he was off, but it just is what it is. If you remember, he was also interviewed by FYB J-Main. He also flashed a weapon there as well. So I don't know. And if you think the police aren't watching and got eyes on him, then you're sadly mistaken because they pay attention to everything, especially on social media these days. So I'm sure one of those situations may have played a part in why they came to perform a parole check, which resulted in them finding what they found. Now, he's currently being held without bond, and even if they gave him one, it wouldn't matter because he has to deal with parole. Catching a new charge while on probation or parole automatically places a parole or probation hold on you when you catch a new charge. Now, honestly, I was one of the guys rooting for Kiddo, right? Between him and Tay Savage, although they into it with each other, I think they both had good success stories coming from where they came from. Both did a huge amount of time and both came out and made a way for themselves to provide for themselves and their families legally. So seeing Kiddo do music and get the recognition he was receiving, even though he didn't even rap at first, it was dope to see, especially knowing what he'd been through. However, this is a very big obstacle and we'll just have to wait and see what happens from here. Now, clearly he had a warrant and I wonder what's that from. Maybe it's something that stemmed from the stolen firearm or something else he's accused of out of town or something, who knows. But it is a little weird that right after THF TP passed away, they decided to do a parole check. I don't know. And for the people that's rushing to count him out, understand this. Yes, he was still dissing when he came home. Yes, he was still on bad timing, but it's not like he crashed out and he was caught doing something. He was literally in his residence and they found weapons there. Simple. That can happen to anybody who are possessing weapons illegally. So before you laugh or mock someone going to jail, be mindful of that. And it sucks because in Chicago, it's like a damn if you do, but damn if you don't situation, right? I'm more than sure nobody wants to carry a gun on them 24/7, especially knowing you're not supposed to and knowing the type of risk that you put yourself out there, especially being on parole or probation. However, you also know that if the ops catch you without one, you out of here. So it's tricky. But once again, it's damn if you do, damn if you don't. So that's pretty much it, man. Hopefully this is a lesson to anybody out there that's in a similar situation or circumstance to 051 Kiddo, especially if you're on parole or probation. Those are two things that are really designed for you to fail. So if you're on either one of them and you still outside doing what you know you're not supposed to be doing, you're just making it worse, and eventually it'll catch up to you. Because any little thing you do or get in trouble for, they can send you right back to jail. So why jeopardize that? Alright, so y'all jump in the comments and let me know what y'all think about this, man. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'm going to keep on dropping. And I'm out.